and then we'll get started. Give it 5 seconds, let people get in. Okay, let's kick things off. Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining this webinar as part of our summer series here at Thrive. We're hosting a series of webinars with lots of different customers. We had the clothing retailer Reese just the other week, and today we're joined by National Highways. So a very different customer from a retailer. National Highways are responsible for operating and maintaining all of the roads and the motorways across the UK. And we're joined by Ian. I'll pass over to Ian to introduce himself, and then we'll get into the live session.
Hello, everyone. My name's Ian Morris. I work for National Highways, like Josh said. I look after Thrive, which is obviously, as you know, our learning experience platform. And anyone that in National Highways would know by now, if they ask me how I am, the answer is always I'm thriving. So there you go. That's me.
Got that in there early. Lovely. Yeah. Well, thanks for joining in. I guess we've got a series of questions. We'll also dive into the platform and give people a glimpse of that in certain areas, from social learning to pathways and that type of thing. We'll be live for 20 minutes or so. So it's just intended to share some of the insights that Ian and the wider team have learned since implementing the platform to over 7,000 users and have been live for over a year now. So really excited for today. I think Ian's going to share some really interesting insights. So let's begin with the first question, I guess, Ian. So you've launched Thrive after having a previous traditional LMS for quite some years. And I guess the first question really is, how is Thrive now integrated into that overall learning and development strategy at National Highways?
So about, early last year, we decided to move from a managed service provider, I won't mention any names, to an in-house design and delivery team. So central to that was we needed a platform that was going to be able to help us do that, and kind of explored the field. And that's how we ended up getting a bit of a pitch, I believe, from you, Josh, from Thrive. Mm-hmm. And the platform needed to be flexible and able to evolve to help us plan and manage and deliver all the learning and development opportunity that we've got for a really diverse workforce that does everything from kind of designing roads to HR to finance, all kinds of things like that. And now Thrive is kind of the first stop for everyone for anything learning and development. So they will know that's the place to go.
What are some of the bigger differences from that previous managed service provider to the solution you're using now? It feels like the strategy's evolved to be a bit more social, a bit more collaborative, rather than just pushing courses at people. How would you describe that?
It's very much so. So the expectation now is that if people want learning and development, they can go into Thrive and see what's there. Anything they can see, they can do. And they're more than welcome to do that in their own time. We've got our own learning and development business partners now that look after each directorate, and they can coordinate anything that we've got to kind of source externally and pay for. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess.
Nice. And if you had to say, let's pick 2 or 3, and maybe we'll dive into them today, specific features of the platform that are enabling you to actually realize this new vision, this new strategy within the platform, what would that be?
So I'll go firstly with tagging. So categorizing our learning helps people find the kind of content they need. Over time, that's going to develop as people become more familiar with how that works. And then linking content as well as like the suggested content so that people can go on in their own time and explore, personally explore other options for different types of learning. They can start looking at, workshops, face-to-face stuff, PDF resources, internet links, that kind of thing. That's all really, really helping and letting them kind of take control of their own learning rather than it be directed from a central place. Notifications, the manager dashboard, that kind of thing have been epic, really. They've really reduced the number of requests that we used to get for reporting, that nobody used to be able to get anything at all really from. And it's also passed the ownership to individuals and managers to make sure that they do the basic compliance learning. But once they're there, it kind of gets them into the platform so they can start looking at other stuff then that they might just stumble across while they're there.
And I love this. How long have you got block that you had on the front page, which is categorized based on time, which I guess it's quite nice for the remote field-based colleagues that you have as well.
Yeah, and we find quite a lot of kind of traffic officers, especially when they're out at night and the roads are quieter. They've got opportunities then to kind of work through some of that. They can kind of look, they've got like 10 minutes spare or 2 minutes or whatever it is, and they can kind of look at something that might interest them, and it's giving them the opportunity as well to do something and feel more connected to the company than they ever have before. So
absolutely. And in your role then, how are you kind of curating all of this knowledge? Because you have kind of external content. I believe you use our content as well here at Thrive, and then you're producing your own stuff as well. And how are you actually curating that? Is it working with those learning business partners to build that into the platform?
It is, yeah. So we've got 12 people capabilities, which are kind of on the explore page, and everything's the primary tag for all of that is those people capability titles, and then we've got some pillars under that, and people are becoming more and more familiar with those capabilities and the pillars underneath it, and then that's when people can kind of start going into focus on different things. So I think you've got high performing teams on there, so brilliant for managers to go into. They can kind of look at different things. I think we've got a bit of emotional intelligence on there, all kinds of things, and as people kind of use the explore page to find those things, that's when we really start to get the rich comments in the on the content itself, and then people start sharing it, and then it becomes a bit more social. People start sharing it further, and then like saying, yeah, this would be a great for us to kind of work together on. So yeah, it's a brilliant way of doing it. Nice.
And I guess a lot of your focus, especially as an organization that's quite compliance driven, especially from a regulatory standpoint, you're government owned, and you're tracking really important health and safety initiatives. How's Thrive helping you track and measure not just the compliance, but also the effectiveness of the programs that you deploy into the business?
So I think the dashboards themselves that are built into Thrive are brilliant. So the managers get one, and then there's obviously one that we can use to for the whole kind of company-wide type stuff, like you're showing there. And it's so easy just to be able to click on one and just see kind of what the compliance rate is, and how many people are overdue, and we can see a list of people that are overdue. Downloading those reports to be able to kind of look at directorates, and is there a problem in a directorate, and really kind of tackle it head on, whereas before it was just like a bit of finger in the air type stuff, and hope for the best.
I won't jump into the reports, but it seems like you're doing quite well from a compliance standpoint. You're more in the green than the red, so that's good.
Yeah, it's because I go around and beat people for not thriving.
What is the kind of engagement rate at the minute? Do you know what that is?
It's 98% are engaged with it, and I think a lot. I guess really the 2% are new starters, people on maternity leave, that kind of thing. So we are really, really pleased with that.
And what's one of the most successful examples of a learning initiative that you've used the platform for?
I would say probably our presentation skills. So there's like a massive demand for presentation skills, almost to the point where you would think that people have never done a presentation before in their life. So our in-house design team came up with kind of a step-by-step pathway where there's kind of a series of articles and things like that link into our tone and style and tone of voice guide. I get it the right way around. And then you can work through that pathway, and eventually you come to a face-to-face workshop.
Nice.
But you've got to have done all the other bits of the pathway to be able to design your presentation to get to the workshop, so that at the workshop you bring kind of a short draft presentation, and then you kind of work with the other people in there, like peer support to to improve your presentation, then deliver it again. And we've had some brilliant feedback on it. Rolled it out across the company, and we're just in the process of organising more and more dates for it because the demand is just getting higher and higher.
So a lot of your pathways and experiences that you're building are kind of pathways when the lockdown. They include videos, e-learning content, events are part of that to create those blended experiences, and then probably some level of assessment at the end to check knowledge and competency. Nice. I love that. And then how's social learning playing a part in this? I've seen selfie videos and all sorts of things that you're trying to drive into the platform. How's that becoming a part of the platform?
I think people are starting, as more and more people are starting to use it, there's a lot more interest in how they can use it to do other things. So that example that you've got on there, Nick Harris, our CEO, is talking, I think that's the one about EDI, is it?
Yeah, correct.
So just seeing something from your chief exec talking about something like EDI really kind of, I guess, galvanizes the whole organization that they're that everybody matters, and everybody can see what he looks like, and it feels a bit more personal than just a little, I don't know, like an email that comes out or something like that. And lots and lots more people are starting to create little videos, podcasts, and it is, you can really see that things are evolving to make that a lot more kind of personal.
Yeah. And how have you approached that? So we work with a lot of customers, and they want to do what you've done here. They want senior stakeholders to be sharing tacit knowledge across the organization, but sometimes it's quite difficult to happen. Everybody's busy, etc. How are you doing that? Are you just asking Nick directly to share those tips, or is he just a big part of it and really focused on learning and development himself?
A lot of it's just asking, and I think as people have seen what we've done in Thrive, a lot. So Nick's video probably was about April time, so about 6 months after we launched, and I think even Nick was starting to see the value of Thrive, and the more people see things like that, the more people want to do them, and they can see the value in it. So yeah, we've got things on there from like our chief data officer, launching our data protection type stuff, cyber security, all that kind of thing. And I think if it comes from an introduction of someone that knows what they're talking about, it helps kind of emphasize the importance of what else follows on from that.
And once one part of the senior leadership team does it in Nick, it almost creates that trust that others can go do it. It's that ripple effect.
Absolutely.
That knowledge, which is good. We do have a quick question from Lindsay, which we'll pop up onto the screen if we can, which is, do you have blue collar workers, and how are they engaging with the content that you share?
I guess it depends what you mean by blue collar. We don't have so there's nobody that works for National Highways itself digs roads, if that makes sense. But we do have a massive supply chain that we support, but they don't have access to our Thrive account.
Yeah. So I guess you've got external workers. I think we're touching it. Might be like the police force, emergency services that aren't internal but require some level of access to the platform.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference in engagement between kind of the office-based teams versus the roadside-based teams in terms of engagement?
Before, I would have said there's a massive difference. So we've got doesn't have access to a PC. So yes, we do. So our traffic officers out in the vehicles don't have access to a PC. They've got tablets, but they access Thrive through our portal or intranet or whatever you want to call it. And because Thrive is on the portal homepage, they've got easy access straight into that through their tablets or mobile phones. And it works in exactly the same way. So
nice.
I couldn't tell you now what the difference is between who uses what to get into it. Yeah,
but 98% engagement.
Yeah. And I would also say, just touching on the traffic officers, probably the most prolific comments come from traffic officers now that they just didn't feel part of the business before, I think.
And now they're more connected, which is great. Well, thank you for your question, Lindsay, there. Let's move on to another question that I've got. I guess how you're really trying to kind of transform the strategy now and to create more of a culture of continuous learning rather than just going to the platform, completing your compliance and moving on. You're wanting people to return on a regular basis. How are you doing that these days? What's the drivers to that?
I think really, I mean, Thrive selling itself, I think I probably kind of hinted on that already, really. But so we've got, not like I said, 98% engagement with the platform. We've got about 1,000 active users in any 7-day period.
Nice.
And like the traffic officers, highways inspectors, New Roads and Street Works Act people that go out and look at they're technically called statutory undertakers, but it's like the electric wires and sewage pipes that go under roads and all kinds of things like that. So having access to the bite-sized content they can work through on any device, it's helping them, like I say, feel a lot closer and a lot more engaged with National Highways as a whole, let alone their learning and development. And they're really starting to get involved and make connections across the company as well, and not just kind of in their own teams.
And you're leveraging a lot of our content, which is bite-sized as well. I found this Get More Courageous, which includes Helen, our CLO, and a few of the colleagues as well. I guess that's a big part of it.
Yeah, some of it's like time management, especially some of the little time management tips and little documents that are on there. I kind of, people are like saying, I need time management training. Well, you don't. You just need some hints and tips.
Yeah.
And we find that if people look at some of that content from the Content Hub, that's absolutely all they need, all they ever need, and they're just well away after that. And they're not asking for that kind of expensive one-day training that doesn't really achieve a lot. Absolutely.
No, I love that. Well, look, we've got a few minutes left, a few more questions as well to fly through. And then if anybody on the line has some as well, we'll answer them as well. Let's talk about general employee engagement. Like, how are you supporting employee engagement? You've talked about growth and those types of things. Is there any other kind of tips or tricks you want to share with people on the line around how you're driving that employee engagement with the platform?
Yeah, so growth is, well, probably our biggest kind of recurring thing since National Highway was set up in about 2015, 2016. Since we've been doing engagement surveys, growth has been one of our lowest scoring dimensions. So this year, now that we've got Thrive and we can edit what's on there and the way it looks, I don't know if you can access it, Josh, but our personal and professional growth block that's in Thrive.
I think it's at the front, isn't it? There it is. Yeah, this one here.
Let's have a look.
To the events, the recordings, the career planning templates.
That's the one. Yeah. So that's we've added stuff on there about upskill apprenticeships, which is kind of links to where you can find those kind of things. We've done some webinars on how learning and development works at National Highways. We've done some stuff on how to get the most out of Thrive. We've got some loads of content club stuff like personal development plans, having good conversations, all that kind of thing. But a lot of it's driven towards people taking ownership of their growth, and it's not something that we can do for them. Just making that available for them that they can scroll through and look at on their own time, in their own time, is we're hoping anyway that it'll pay dividends. But we've had on the back of adding that on there, we've had loads of requests for kind of growth workshops. So in-house, we developed one, delivered it to a team in May, and we've done 10 of those now, and we're going to we're going to have to add it to Thrive so that people are going to have to book it because the demand for it is so high. But being supported by the stuff that's already on Thrive in that content block and getting people to think about it is really getting people more involved with taking control of their own growth.
Sure. And I know you're doing your next kind of employee survey. I think that's January time. What are you expecting to see there? If you can kind of look into the future, what are you expecting from those results?
If there's not a significant improvement in it, I'm going to cry. Let's put it that way. But I'm really hoping that we'll see. I mean, I think 5 points in the engagement survey is probably quite a significant improvement. If we could get that far, I think that would be epic, because at least we know we're heading in the right direction. We can do more of the same, stuff.
And I guess looking further than that, further than January in the employee survey you're going to launch, how do you see the role of Thrive evolving over the next 1, 2, 3 years? Is there anything you're particularly excited about, new features, capabilities, which might help transform this even further?
I think one of the most exciting things for me, we've got loads and loads of small little mentoring schemes and kind of things like that, being able to do that centrally so that people can do find mentors for things that they really want to do across the whole company. I think that the opportunities there are really epic. I think an ever improving experience for learners makes them, they as the experience improves, they want to learn more, and then we invest more time in it, and then it improves. And I think that ever growing cycle is great. Being able to use AI to develop content, I think there's loads of opportunities there. I know nothing about AI, so I'm not gonna dwell on that any further. But other than that, I think I'm most excited about how we can evolve with Thrive, I guess. It's the long and the short of it. It's just a dream job for me.
Nice, love that. And look, unsurprisingly, like every vendor at the minute, we're working very hard in the background on AI, around content authoring, around semantic search, and these types of things. And I think all of those types of tools are just going to enable you to enhance that learning experience. It's going to help you as a central team to produce content quicker than ever before, but it's also going to help the lives of your colleagues, right? Finding things quicker and engaging with content when they are on the roads or at the offices that you have as well. So it's definitely an exciting time to be in the learning development industry in terms of how we can take things a level up from what you already have done, because you've built over the last year a really exciting platform, which clearly is working with the engagement that you have, right? In terms of people coming back to it. So no, it's really, really exciting. Well, that's us at time. A quick 20-minute insights from Ian there, which I particularly enjoyed. I guess, Ian, before we go, just to help anyone else on the call, if you had to give one tip to everybody listening who's considering implementing a new LMS or LXP, what would that be?
I don't know. I was going to say, my initial thing was just go for it. But I think just really understand what you're getting yourself into, I guess, and make sure that you're ready to go with it. Don't. I think part of our problem initially was we launched it and we weren't quite sure what we were doing. But now I would just, there's no looking back at all.
Love that. Yeah, don't rush. It would be my advice as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go big bang and they rush and they're trying to do everything very quickly, but take your time. It's a big project, right?
Yeah.
But look, Ian, thank you so much for joining. Any questions for anybody? I'm sure Ian will be happy to connect to you on LinkedIn and share more insights with you. You can also reach out to me as well. But yeah, thank you, everybody. We will speak to you very soon and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.